gonna do something, I give it my all.
I want to be immortal. I want to be a legend.
It's not fireworks, it's far more spectacular than that.
There's like a shock that goes through me.
He's crazy, but you never know what he's coming up to do.
100 years ago, Robert Ripley went on a quest to the farthest reaches of the globe in search of the extraordinary and unusual. Today, the adventure continues, searching for the world's most bizarre, astonishing secrets. On Ripley's. Believe it or not. They test their limits and risk their lives, rewriting our definition of sanity. I'm Bruce Campbell. As an actor, I've seen some things, done some stuff, but all of it was fake. What you're about to see is 100% grade A real. It's a lesson kids learn early in life. Keep your fingers out of the outlets so you don't get electrocuted. A rule 3 British lads never learned. Now, they're electrifying audiences all over the world as they hurl millions of volts of lightning. Believe it or not. For almost a decade, Keno MacDonald and Joshua Leighton True have been dazzling audiences.
I like to do dangerous things.
They get a real buzz out of it.
But it's Jeb Hawkins who really amps up the show.
The performers like to call me the Overlord. I'm the one actually controlling the amount of power going to the lightning that they're throwing.
And now they're about to crank up the dial in a show that will push the limits of man and machine to a dangerous new extreme.
Back in 2010 was the first time I actually ever seen a Tesla coil. I mean, it's like, why, what is this thing? And I, at the time, was working as an electrician. Just happened to sort of be in the right place at the right time. And got offered the role of like, oh, do you fancy taking on this crazy lightning show? And it really got me going. Who was this guy who originally made these machines? What are they? This is some sort of black magic.
Back in the 1890s, inventor Nikola Tesla dreamed of a world that could run on wireless electricity. So he set out to prove it, demonstrating his miraculous invention from coast to coast. In a world still mostly lit by candle and gaslight, Tesla's marvel both thrilled and terrified his audiences, all of which inspired the Lords to pick up where the mad scientist left off.
So we then decided to develop a show using the equipment that already existed, that was tried and tested, but didn't really have a very sort of dynamic show or any slickness to what the performance was. So we got some performers involved, got a creative director involved and some choreography, and it sort of grew organically over the next sort of 4 years.
I started off as a ballet dancer and a break dancer, and I did all sorts of circus skills and balance acts.
We were all a bunch of fire twirlers, you know, doing fire shows, things like that, and it was just the next level. We're looking for those magic moments, the big falls, the big shock. Yeah, we're looking for the wow moment.
So the unique thing that Lords of Lightning do that other people don't is we have performers on top of the Tesla coils actually throwing lightning at each other.
It's a dangerous game. The outlets in your house are wired with 120 volts. The Lords are dealing with 4 million.
Every time we do a show, we get into a chainmail suit that covers all of our body.
The suit I'm wearing is actually a shark diving suit, but the alternative uses for these suits is high voltage. Voltage will flow much more fluidly around a metal surface because my body is less conductive than the metal.
So they become an extension of the machine themselves without being cooked by it. It's still dangerous.
I've had parts of my suit come apart and got shocked. I felt like I was being strangled.
It's a big responsibility having the performers' lives in my hand. But they trust me and I trust them.
And now they're getting ready to perform their biggest show yet, in front of 60,000 people at the Glastonbury Music Festival. The pressure is as enormous as the voltage beneath them. Can they pull it off?
And you get up there and you're like, oh no, I'm starting to wobble a little bit and I'm standing on the platform shaking.
There's something amazing about standing up there, feeling the electricity.
We see a whole different thing. We get this blue corona and this plasma rolling around our body.
It's not fireworks, it's something far more spectacular than that.
It's such an adrenaline buzz. You must have had 60,000 people in the crowd. So many people in front of you.
And it's just sort of bringing together a real fundamental of passion for a lot of people.
Most creators dream of works that will live forever. But there's a young woman in New England who's at her best when everything is falling apart.
My name is Lily Hevish. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a domino artist.
For the last 11 years, Lily Hevish has been setting dominoes up and knocking them down. Building an international fan base that follows her every design.
Lily is amazing off the chart. She's the top domino artist in the world in terms of numbers, most subscribers, most views, and that sort of thing.
And the momentum keeps on building.
Oh my God! I have 1 million subscribers now. That's crazy.
In celebration of this milestone, Lily is building her most ambitious solo project to date. A 30,000 domino setup that will stretch through her parents' entire house and garage. Have fun taking out the garbage. It's bigger than anything she's ever done before, and it could take her several weeks to complete. But can she pull it off?
I don't like creating work that's mediocre. If I'm gonna do something, I give it my all. In elementary school, I wanted to be an artist, and when I was 9 years old, I found a set of 28 dominoes at my grandparents' house.
Wow.
I'd set up about half of them on top of a table, and then one would fall off and then hit a line on the floor. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I had no idea you could even do any of this with dominoes. And it kind of became an obsession from there.
In middle school, Lily started posting her work on YouTube, and people took notice. Over the years, as her creations became more and more complex, her following exploded. Before long, companies started hiring her for everything from private events to TV commercials.
Dominoes has led me all around the world. Projects in London, I've done projects in France.
We made it at the Eiffel Tower. Check this out. Oh my God.
I've been to Turkey, Austria, Canada, all over the US.
She's very successful with commercial projects, commercials for TV or for the web, and so she has a good income from it.
Can't really believe this is my profession, you know, doing domino art full time. Some days I'll build for like 12 hours. I spend a lot of time building. Once I get in the zone, I'm like, it's like just me and my dominoes.
Lily may make this process look effortless, but in reality, it takes design, precision, and technique.
I'll have a complete floor plan and I'll draw it out on Photoshop so you can see exactly where each trick is and how the connection lines go to each trick. I have a couple of tools that I use when building dominoes. First is a Lego template. It kind of looks like a comb. You just put the dominoes in each slot and then you push it forward, move it to the side, and it'll space it exactly. I also use rulers a lot and yardsticks for making things straight and just measuring out. It's important to be precise because if you aren't, then the trick won't fall the way that you want to. Right before I knock it down, I'm super excited because I want to see it fall down, but I'm also super nervous because I want it to topple the way that I planned, and you never really know how it's going to fall with dominoes. Oh my God.
Oh. Do it right, and it looks like magic. But the art of dominoes is really just basic science, with one tile transferring its energy to the next. In fact, each domino has enough kinetic energy to push over a domino 1.5 times its own size. That means if you lined up 20 dominoes, each 1.5 times bigger than the last, you could knock over a 30-story building in a matter of seconds. Simple physics, but when you're designing a 30,000-piece setup, so much can go wrong along the way.
Being very aware of your body at all times is super important because if you knock it down, like, it could be all over. Some setups are super high pressure, especially when I'm building giant 3D structures, because if you drop one domino into the structure, it'll all collapse, and there's no way to save that.
But there's no greater pressure than Lily's celebration of 1 million YouTube followers. She spent 15 days setting it up. Now, with the flick of a finger, it's the moment of truth.
Is it gonna work or is it gonna fail?
In the world of dominoes, 20-year-old Lily Hevish is a rock star. And to celebrate her 1 millionth YouTube subscriber, she's giving her fans the gift of her biggest setup yet. But in the domino business, one misplaced tile can mean the difference between a smashing success and a total flop. Knock 'em down, Lily. Hope you had decaf. After hundreds of videos and thousands of hours committed to her passion, Lily is almost ready to roll.
I'm actually filling in the last couple of dominoes, just hoping that I don't knock down the dominoes by accident. I can't believe this is even happening. Thank you so much.
The famous silent movie actor Lon Chaney was known as the man of 1,000 faces. Well, he's got nothing on this guy.
You never know when inspiration is going to strike you. It could be driving, sitting on the potty chair in the middle of the night. You just wake up with some kind of creative inspiration and you just have to execute it.
Michael Gump has a really cool day job.
I'm a prop master for a lot of crazy kid shows. And a big part of my professional work is to make stuff. I know a lot of recipes for trouble.
Especially since he started moonlighting on a project of his own.
While I'm doing my regular work, I'm often thinking, like, would this be a good thing to glue to my face?
Each and every night for the past 3.5 years, Michael has become his own canvas. And now, he's taking his project to a new extreme.
3, 2, 1, pour. I've been making stuff pretty much as long as I can remember. As a kid, I was really in my imagination a lot. So I used to play with toys and put together little model train environments and just enjoy the fantasy of getting into like a little scene or environment.
Michael was lucky enough to turn that passion into a career. With a wife and 2 kids, it seemed like he had it all. Until life took a nasty turn.
My wife separated from me. It was an emotionally tough time.
That's when his art really became a lifeline. And everything in his toolbox and his snack drawer became an inspiration.
My disguise projects. It was a good distraction, but it was also like makes you feel empowered.
Night after night, one disguise after another, he posted his pictures on Instagram under the name Bob Bugs. More than 50,000 people follow his daily transformation.
The original idea was to try to do 1 a day for a year. In the process, somebody said to me, you should make a book and you could do 1,000 faces. And that would only take you like 3 years. And I was like, you didn't just say that. So then the goal actually was like, can I do 1,000 disguises every day? Like, I mean, in a row.
Three and a half years later, he's still working on his book while creating bigger, crazier, and more dangerous disguises every day.
It's like exercising. You know? A lot of times you don't want to do it, but then you do it and you feel better afterwards.
I think this project has helped keep Michael's sanity. At the end of the night, he can really just almost like meditate, focus on his art, and do what he loves.
Now, at day 1,347, he's trying something challenging, a portrait in motion.
It's about catching a moment.
He'll have just one chance to get it right. And with 20 pounds of sweet cafeteria glory ready to go, can he keep his streak of brilliance alive?
If I'm bit, I'm either hurt or dead. Whoa!
Unfortunately, I have made a couple of mistakes with human assistance.
For the last 3.5 years, Michael Gump has created a new self-portrait every night. His legion of social media followers count on it, and trust me, they're insatiable.
Today we're going to do a disguise involving classic cafeteria-style fruit cocktail. With the peaches and the pears and the little half cherries. My buddy Brandon's got a high-speed camera, and we'll take a bunch of pictures and we'll pick one that you can see all the tendrils of a fluid or see something captured in a moment that you don't really necessarily see. I'm pretty used to feeling a little itchy or a little warm or sticky. I've become pretty accustomed to that. My kids are gonna help us out because we need somebody to pour the material. It's fun for them to be involved.
Right here, on the front of his head.
Right in my face.
As close as you can get it.
Right on my forehead.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Pour.
He's eating it.
It is good. Try some.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of good ones.
Michael hasn't gotten that coveted book deal yet, but with thousands of disguises under his belt, the work seems to have taken on a life of its own.
Some performances can play out over years, but for one world record holder, the magic happens in a split second, more than twice the speed of sound.
My name is April Jennifer Choi, and I'm a whip artist.
She's powerful, she's precise, and just a little bit dangerous. Now, she's attempting a stunt only 8 people in the world have ever accomplished, lighting her whip on fire and wrapping herself in the flame. Believe it or not.
The thing that drives me the most is just my obsessive personality. When I find something, I dive deep into it.
By day, April is an analytical engineer with a master's degree in fluid dynamics.
I love engineering, especially being able to use physics and kind of just laws that are not defined by mankind that make the world happen.
But in 2011, a visit to a festival changed her life.
There was a whip class. I took the whip class. The next thing you know, I had to learn at least the first 100 tricks. When I watch whips move, I'm always amazed just how they move and how they undulate in such fluid motions. And seeing those motions remind me of the mathematics that go through them consistently.
And what's happening at the very end of the whip is really mind-blowing. Physicists have discovered that the whip crack is actually a sonic boom produced when the whip crosses the sound barrier, reaching speeds of up to 1,500 miles an hour. That's almost as fast as an F-35 fighter jet.
Knowing that I could take my engineering knowledge and put it into whip cracking then accelerated me into the performance world.
Along the way, she fell in love with a woman named Bethany Burns, who not only joined the act, she became April's wife.
April is so amazing because she's so inspiring to make you want to get out there and just try it.
Together, they've wowed audiences all over the world.
We do whips on slack lines. We do things where we're taking bottle caps off with a whip.
It definitely goes through my mind that being injured is a real possibility.
Unfortunately, I have made a couple of mistakes with human assistance.
April admits to inflicting the occasional scratch or welt, but it could get so much messier.
Particularly tricks that take things out of the mouth. You could possibly hit them in the eye by accident.
Add fire into the mix, and the risk turns downright deadly. But April's not backing off, even if it means her whole life is about to go up in flames.
I'm gonna be bathing in rattlesnakes.
Whatever it takes is what I'm willing to do to get to where I want to be.
"32-year-old April Choi has built a career cracking the whip and breaking records. And because that's not dangerous enough, her whole life is about to go up in flames. Flame on! She's using a specially designed fire whip made with Kevlar and doused in white gas. One small mistake, and she could find herself trapped in a flaming noose, struggling to breathe with her hair on fire.
Noosing yourself is when you do a crack over your head and the whip catches on itself. It wraps around itself, and since it loses all of its momentum, it just drops.
April starts with the basics. Keeping the flame safely away from her neck. Now, to turn up the heat. She's done it, and she's not even singed.
April is an excellent example of you can do anything that you put your mind to.
April tamed her whip without going up in flames. There's a guy in Texas who plays with a different kind of fire, the kind that has a mind of its own. Be afraid. Be very afraid. People come from near and far. A mix of fascination, revulsion, and straight-up disbelief. Most of us will do anything to steer clear of a feisty rattlesnake. But not this man. He's made a career of tangling with vipers. And today, he's raising the stakes. Getting down and dirty right in the snake pit. "68-year-old Jackie Bibby is a legend."
They call me the Texas Snake Man. I'm an attention seeker. I really like attention, and I'm a showman. I really enjoy performing for people.
For nearly half a century, Jackie's been pushing the limits with one of nature's most finely tuned killing machines. And now, he's attempting one of his most dangerous stunts. He's going to share a bathtub with 20 riled-up rattlesnakes for 15 minutes.
If I'm bit, I'm either hurt or dead.
Believe it?
Whoa!
Or not.
I got involved in handling rattlesnakes at a rattlesnake roundup. I was 18 years old, 1969. I went near the rattlesnake sacking championship. That's where you got to have two men in the pit, one holding the sack, one picking the snakes up, putting them in the sack. I was the only non-professional in the competition, and I won 2 trophies, $30, and got my name in the paper. The rest, as they say, is history.
Give Jackie a big hand there. All right.
Since then, Jackie and his rattlers have been entertaining audiences all over the globe.
I have over 100 trophies now, and I hold the world record for that sport.
But Jackie has paid a steep price to get where he is today.
In 49 years of handling snakes, I've received 12 serious bites. Only count of bite that sends me to the hospital. You can see they have a divot in my hand where the venom rotted my hand out. My other thumb is stiff. I don't have any mobility in the joint, and I have a deteriorated tissue on the end from snake bites. This thumb's been bitten 3 times.
Within seconds, rattlesnake venom stops your blood from clotting and starts dissolving the flesh and muscle tissue around the bite. And some bites are worse than others. 6 years ago, Jackie endured an attack that nearly ended his life.
My worst bite, a snake bit above my boot. Big snake, almost 6 feet long, and a lot of venom. You begin to have discoloration and blood blisters at the side of the bite. You begin to have a coppery taste, kind of like you stuck a penny in your mouth. You're going to probably start projectile vomiting. You get really sick and it hurts really bad. By the time they got me to the hospital, my leg was already dead. 3 days later, they started chopping on my leg. 10 operations, and a month later, they kicked me out. Everybody thought, well, is he gonna quit? Nah, I just bought a leg and went back to doing it.
Today, he'll tempt fate and the fangs of over 20 venomous rattlesnakes.
They have their venom, they have their fangs, they have the capacity to inflict a deadly bite. So we're not milking these snakes beforehand. We're not sewing their mouths shut or anything like that.
It'll all come down to a battle of will versus instinct.
Those snakes have the capacity to kill you.
He's determined to spend the next 15 minutes in the tub with them. But that's a long time when you're in the strike zone.
Whoa! Don't miss.
Jackie Bibby is about to get into a bathtub filled with western diamondback rattlesnakes, one of the most aggressive snakes in North America. Nobody said this was a good idea.
As I'm getting in this bathtub, I'm gonna have to tape my legs where I won't be shaking and jittery when I'm sitting in there for a long period of time. And it's so very important, I've got to be real still. Doug, you'll be free handling these snakes. In other words, he'll be picking them up with a pinner and with his hands. He will not have their heads pinned, so they do have the potential to cause a deadly bite at any time. As these snakes get deeper and deeper on me in the bathtub, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking because you don't know where they're liable to go.
What they're after is a dark, tight place, which means they could wriggle behind Jackie, sneak underneath him, or try to hide under his pants or shirt.
With their stuff under me.
I know.
Several of them got behind me, some got under me, some were between my legs. And there's always the danger, you know, being bit in the back.
Bites to the extremities are dangerous enough. But if this errant rattlesnake strikes Jackie's torso, the venom will reach his heart so fast that he would likely die in minutes.
All right, Dougie, let's go backwards. This is the tough part. Dougie, got one in the quilt. Yep. You gonna move me up? Whoa! Doug! I got him. Don't move. I ain't moving. You know, it was kind of edgy there for a few minutes. But when I first started handling, I had no idea that the snakes would take me where they did. You know, I certainly never said to myself, wow, if I get good at handling snakes, I'll get to go to Paris, France, or London, England, or Istanbul, Turkey. and the fun that I have and the things I get to do are all well worth the danger that I encounter as a result of doing what I do.
Down in Florida, there's a performer who has badass written all over him.
My name is Aaron Wolin. People call me Shorty, or Short E Dangerously. That's my stage name.
Shorty Dangerously is a natural-born entertainer who's about to push his act beyond the pain threshold, even if it means paying a huge price. When he's not cruising in his Camaro or rocking his skateboard, Shorty gets around like this. His hands are the source of his strength and his mobility.
Make some noise for Shorty Dangerously!
But now, he's putting them to the ultimate test. Jumping from a stool and landing in a pile of jagged glass. Hands first. Believe it? Or not.
I don't remember learning how to walk on my hands. I just natural adaptation, I guess.
It's never stopped him from making friends or meeting girls.
That guy gets more girls than anybody I know.
I was born with a condition called sacroagenesis. Half my spine is missing.
Sacroagenesis is a rare condition that affects 1 in 25,000 births. All of Aaron's organs function normally, but the lower half of his skeletal system never properly developed.
I was born with legs, but when I was 2.5, they were amputated because they were just skin and bones. They had no muscle structure. It's funny because I had prosthetic legs when I was younger, and about the time I was in 4th grade, those gave me more limitations than my disability ever did. All they did was make me taller. I always tried to do the normal things a kid does. My mom definitely, no self-pity, don't feel sorry for yourself. You know, nobody's gonna hand it to you, you know.
In his late 30s, Shorty saw something that would change his life. Film of a guy named Johnny Eck, who was born with sacral agenesis, just like Shorty. From the 1920s to the 1940s, Johnny worked constantly in sideshows and films, becoming a household name.
I saw that he did a one-arm handstand, and I was like, I could do that. So I practiced it.
Shorty found that he had inherent talent. Now he needed a way to show it.
So 6 years ago, I joined a circus. It was a traditional 10-in-1 sideshow. It was the sideshow that you would see at the carnivals. You want to see the girl in the contortion box, you pay $1. Or you want to see the guy put the pins through his face, you pay $1. I just fell in love with being on stage, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Shorty soon became a star attraction with a singular purpose.
When it's all said and done, I want to surpass Johnny Eck's legend. And I want to be bigger than him.
Shorty is so dedicated to besting Eck that he's willing to attempt something old Johnny never even dreamed of. Today, in front of hundreds of fans, it's Shorty's hands versus a pile of jagged glass.
But bigger risks to take than my hands and my ability to walk and move. Whatever it takes is what I'm willing to do to get to where I want to be.
If he hits the landing perfectly, he should walk away with just a little pain. But if he's at all unbalanced, his palms and fingers could be shredded.
His hands are the only way of transportation that he has, and you would think that he would be so careful to make sure that he didn't cause injury.
Right before I get ready to walk on stage, that's where I get the body tingles and I feel like the buzz.
But if he doesn't control his jump and damages his hands, his dreams could be over. forever.
Make some noise for Shorty Dangerously!
Becoming mythical is a pretty high standard for success. Today, Short E. Dangerously is making such an attempt, building his persona with a jump that puts his hands at risk.
Shorty has crushed a half-dozen wine bottles, creating these shards of glass. He's wearing nothing on his hands to protect himself from injury.
I know it sounds cliche, but I firmly believe pain is just weakness leaving your body.
It's just amazing. He's got a way of captivating people and keeping their attention, always.
He's crazy, but you never know what he's coming up to do. He's truly a legend.
You guys having a good time? Yeah!
In 40 years, I want people to talk about me like they talk about Johnny Eck. I want to be immortal. I want to be a legend.
It's that same drive that keeps so many performers always pushing for more.